Web suspect, and these are my Hyperloop concept sketches, and I have two sets of concept sketches. So on the left here I have a one that runs on magnetic induction that's air assisted. So along the maglev it would be just kind of like a bullet train shaped like a giant vacuum tube cartridge with segments in it kind of like a monorail, and people could move forward and back. However, when you got in, you would sit in like a roller coaster chair, and these metal bars would come down, and it would work sort of kind of like the fall from Total Recall. On the bottom, well, the sides would be covered with metal plates. It might have row windows, but it would mostly be covered with metal plates, and the bottom would work like a maglev, and linear induction motors can either lift or pull. So the linear induction motors on the bottom would be powered by solar. Only when the train passes they would lift the car, and the ones on the top would kind of pull the car up and hang the car. And then jet engines, kind of like they use for oil fields, would push the tube in the back and push the car forward. And then I have some sketches here for a solar-powered monorail. So I guess the solar-powered monorail would take you from the parking lot to the Hyperloop station. Then somebody said, what about a totally air-powered design? So the air-powered design would kind of work like hovercraft. And so you would have suspension bags on the fronts and sides of the Hyperloop cars, and again, like monorails, they would have sections. High pressure tanks, very large high pressure tanks, would be solar powered. They would store air during the day for one section. So a section would be 20 feet of tube. As the Hyperloop car passed through the tube, solenoids would release the air from the high pressure tanks into a double walled tube. Mostly on the bottom, air would come out of little tiny holes all along the sides of the tube, lifting the car up. Then the air would escape kind of out the back, so there would be a weak point on the bags that control the distribution of air on the car. And these could be very large or very small, but I'd say maybe about 5 inches of airbags on the car. And the airbags would be stiffer in the front of the car and less stiffer in the back. Air would escape out of the back of the car because the bags would be stiffer in the front, and this would push the car forward. In addition to that, there could be a vacuum assist on the front of the car to reduce air pressure in the front of the car. So again, we'd have the jet engines like before, pumping air out of the front of the car. That could work on both systems. With this system, as the Hyperloop car exited the tube, there would be a section of tube that would just be straightaway cut with no tube at all. And at that point, gravity would take over and brakes, and the car would brake. And both of these could have small wheels on the bottom, so that as the car ran out of the tube, it might just fall into a hollow half tube track and just kind of roll along and stop. But the vacuum would have to be removed at the end of the track. And Disney would have these kind of like entry systems for Wedway that would just be kind of like this. And then this area here would be like an entry point for getting on and off. So I could foresee where you come to the end of the Hyperloop. I saw a drawing and it was a good one, where you just come to the end and the car stops here, you get on, and then it goes right back into the Hyperloop tube. And those are my concept ideas for the Hyperloop. I wish I had some CAD drawings. I don't have good access to decent CAD software. I don't have any training on AutoCAD, so I'd probably like to use something other than AutoCAD if I did.